In the peaceful village of Umadim, surrounded by lush green hills and the rhythmic songs of birds, there lived a young girl named ADAEZE. Everyone in the village called her Ada. She was slender, with bright eyes and a spirit that loved to dance. Whenever the women pounded yam or the young men drummed by the moonlight, Ada would sneak out of her small hut and sway to the beat, her bare feet tapping on the cool earth. Ada dreamed of dancing before a crowd at the village festival, where the entire community would gather to celebrate the harvest. She imagined herself spinning and leaping as the crowd cheered and clapped. But Ada's life was far from easy. Her family was one of the poorest in Umadim. Her mother sold vegetables in the market, and Ada often helped her. Their hut was small, and her clothes were worn and patched. A group of village children, led by a girl named Ezin, made it their mission to tease Ada whenever they saw her. "Why are you always spinning around like a crazy bird?" Ezin would mock. "Do you think you'll ever be good enough to dance at the festival? Look at your torn wrapper," another child would sneer. Their words hurt Ada, but she didn't want them to see her cry. She would pretend to ignore them, then run to her secret place, a quiet grove by the Nko stream, hidden behind tall palm trees. In the grove, Ada felt free. She would practice her dance moves, spinning and jumping to the rhythm of imaginary drums. She often whispered her dreams to the stream, hoping that the spirit of the water might carry her wishes to Chukwu, the great creator. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills and the sky turned orange and purple, Ada danced alone in the grove. Her movements were graceful, her bare feet tapping on the soft ground. Suddenly, she felt a cool breeze that made her stop. "Why do you stop, ADAEZE?" a soft, melodious voice called. Ada spun around, startled. Standing by the stream was a tall woman with skin that shimmered like the surface of the water. She wore a gown made of golden threads that seemed to glow in the fading light. Her head was crowned with small, glowing cowries, and her eyes were as deep as the river. Ada fell to her knees. Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I am Eneni Mary, the goddess of the waters," the woman said, her voice gentle and soothing. "I have watched you dance in my grove for many moons. You have a gift, ADAEZE, a gift the world must see." Ada's heart pounded. I'm not good enough. The other children laugh at me. And I have no fine clothes to wear. How could I ever perform at the festival?" Eneni Miri stepped closer, her feet barely touching the ground. She touched Ada's shoulder, and a warm, calming sensation spread through her. "Your talent is not in the clothes you wear, child. It is in your heart and your spirit. I will give you a chance to show the village your gift, but you must have the courage to take it." "What must I do?" Ada asked, her voice a whisper. The goddess reached into the water and pulled out a small calabash. She handed it to Ada. "Inside this calabash is something special. Take it to the elders at the market square tomorrow. Tell them it is from Eneni Miri, and they will understand." Ada held the calabash tightly, her mind racing. What could be inside? Would the elders believe her? And what if Ezin and her friends tried to humiliate her again? The next morning, Ada woke up early. She stared at the small calabash that Eneni Miri had given her, wondering what lay inside. Her heart beat fast as she tied her wrapper tightly around her waist and tucked the calabash under her arm. "I can do this," she whispered to herself, though her hands trembled. The market square was already bustling when Ada arrived. Women balanced baskets of goods on their heads, traders called out to customers, and the aroma of roasted plantains filled the air. At the center of the square, the village elders sat under the big Iroko tree, discussing preparations for the harvest festival. As Ada approached the elders, her footsteps faltered. She spotted Ezin and her friends watching her from the shade of a stall. "Look, it's Ada the dreamer," Ezin called out, her voice loud enough to draw attention. "What's she doing here? Is she trying to sell the old calabash?" Another teased. Laughter rippled through the crowd, and Ada felt her face burn. She clutched the calabash tighter and kept walking, determined not to let their words stop her. When she reached the elders, she bowed respectfully. "Good morning, Nani," she said, addressing them. The oldest elder, Poor Icom, squinted at her. "ADAEZE, why have you come before us?" Summoning her courage, Ada held out the calabash. "Eneni Miri, the goddess of the waters, gave me this. She said I should bring it to you and tell you it is from her." The elders exchanged surprised glances. One of them, Mama Neka, reached for the calabash and opened it carefully. Inside was a beautifully crafted anklet made of tiny, shimmering shells that glowed faintly, as though they carried the light of the moon. Gasps spread through the crowd as more people gathered to see what was happening. The elders murmured among themselves before Poor Icom spoke again. "This is a sacred gift," he said, his voice filled with awe. "The goddess does not give her blessings lightly. ADAEZE, you must wear this anklet and perform at the festival. It is clear that you have been chosen." Ada's eyes widened. "Me? Perform at the festival?" "Yes, child," Mama Neka said kindly. "Do not doubt yourself. The goddess believes in you, and so shall we." The crowd buzzed with excitement, but not everyone looked pleased. Ezin and her friends stood frozen, their smug expressions replaced by shock. As the elders dismissed her, Ada felt both elated and terrified. The festival was only 3 days away. Could she truly stand before the entire village and dance? What if she made a mistake? That evening, Ada returned to the grove, holding the anklet in her hands. She knelt by the stream and whispered to Eneni Miri, "I'm grateful for your gift, but I'm scared. What if I fail?" The water shimmered, and the goddess's voice echoed gently. "Courage is not the absence of fear, ADAEZE. It is choosing to act in spite of it. Trust in your gift, and the rest will follow." Ada slipped the anklet onto her ankle. As soon as she did, she felt a surge of energy, as though the rhythm of the drums and the beat of the earth were flowing through her. She spent the next 3 days practicing in the grove, pouring her heart and soul into her movements. The anklet glowed brighter with every step, and Ada began to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time: confidence. Finally, the day of the festival arrived. The village square was decorated with palm fronds, and the villagers gathered in their finest clothes. Drummers played lively tunes, and children danced around, laughing and clapping. Ada waited nervously behind the stage, her heart pounding. The elders had reserved the final performance for her. As the sun began to set, casting a golden light over the festival grounds, Ada stood behind the stage, clutching the edge of the curtain. Her heart raced in her chest. She could hear the crowd cheering, the drummers pounding rhythmically, and the sound of children's laughter filling the air. But none of it seemed to reach her. It felt as if the world had narrowed to just her and the stage. "ADAEZE, it's your turn," one of the elders called gently. Ada took a deep breath and stepped forward, her bare feet sinking into the earth. The crowd fell silent as she walked into the center of the stage, the anklet around her ankle glowing softly in the evening light. She could feel the eyes of the village upon her, but she remembered Eneni Miri's words: "Courage is not the absence of fear, but choosing to act in spite of it." The drums began to play, slow and steady at first. Ada lifted her arms, letting the music flow through her. She spun, her body moving with grace, as if the rhythm of the earth itself was guiding her. The anklet shimmered with every step, and with each movement, she felt stronger and freer. At first, the crowd was still, watching her closely. But then, something magical happened. A murmur of admiration spread through the villagers. Ada's confidence grew, and the rhythm of her dance grew wilder, more joyful. She leaped and twirled, her laughter mixing with the music, and before long, the whole village was clapping along, chanting her name: "Ada! Ada! Ada!" Even Ezin and her friends, who had once mocked her, stood with wide eyes, their mouths open in astonishment. They could hardly believe what they were seeing. Ada danced like the wind, free and untamed. The crowd cheered louder, and for the first time, she felt truly at home. She wasn't just Ada from the small hut at the edge of the village. She was Ada, the dancer, the one who had brought the spirit of the goddess to life. As the music reached its peak, Ada gave one final twirl, her arms wide, and landed in a perfect bow. The crowd erupted into applause, clapping and cheering for her. Ada's heart swelled with joy, and for the first time, she wasn't afraid of anything. That night, as Ada returned to her family, the villagers came to congratulate her, telling her how beautiful her dance had been. Ezin and the other children came forward too, their faces filled with respect. "You were amazing, Ada. We were wrong to make fun of you," Ezin said, her voice sincere. Ada smiled, her heart full of warmth. "It's okay. I was only following my dream." As she lay in bed that night, the glowing anklet beside her, Ada whispered a quiet thanks to Eneni Miri. The goddess had given her the courage to dance, and in doing so, Ada had found her true self. From that day on, Ada's dances became the heart of every festival in Umadim, and the village knew that no dream, no matter how big, was too far to reach if you believed in it with all your heart. The end.